Every product India exports to America just got 50% more expensive.
Tariff hike on imports from India.
Why? Because of this man.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Mr. Donald Trump.
But wait, America and India are supposed to be friends, right?
My friend, India's friend, the President
अब की
of
बार
the United
ट्रम्प
States of
सरकार।
America, Mr. Donald Trump.
So what went wrong? Well, the real reason is something else. And this reason has a chance to make India the central power of the world. So let's dive deep to understand how. Now let me tell you what's actually happening right now. So America and India went from being partners to opponents almost overnight, while India and China, who were literally clashing at the borders years ago, are suddenly having friendly conversations again. And just a month back, Trump was openly backing Russia and Ukraine. Trump told Zelensky, made a deal or we are out, and even suspended all the military aid to Ukraine for a week until Zelensky agreed to peace talks. And now the entire world is watching this in disbelief because America hadn't sided with Russia since World War II. And now suddenly America is back to being Russia's biggest opponent.
Economic war, and an economic war is going to be bad, and it's going to be bad for Russia.
But here's where things gets complicated. America and India are supposed to be allies. They have signed defense deals worth billions. Modi ji and Trump even held joint rallies together. So why is America suddenly treating India like a threat?
Know that we put a very big tariff on India, 50% tariff.
Well, the real reason is India bought cheap Russian oil.
I've been very disappointed that India would be buying so much oil, as you know, from Russia.
India saved $17 billion by buying Russian oil instead of more expensive oil from other countries. So this Russian oil was $3 to $8 cheaper per barrel than oil from Middle East. So India bought a lots of it to save money for its people.
We don't send people out there saying go buy Russian oil. We send people out there saying go buy oil.
The real problem isn't just Ukraine anymore. America sees India getting closer to China and Russia, and this scares America. America watches India talking nicely to China again after years of fighting. America sees India buying Russian oil and staying friends with Russia. America thinks it's losing control because if India moves closer to China and Russia, America could lose its grip in Asia. And its plan to corner Russia won't work, and China will get a powerful friend in the region where America wants to stay dominant. So you see, friends are becoming enemies, enemies are becoming friends, everything is changing fast. So today let's break down this global chessboard and see who's playing, what moves they have made, and why India's next move could change the whole world. So imagine the world as a giant chessboard. See this white king? That's America. Now the king in chess moves slowly, one square at a time, but controls everything on the board. America is exactly like that. They control everything because they control the world's money. In fact, 58% of all the savings held by countries are in US dollars. And when any two countries trade with each other, they usually pay in American dollars, not their own currency. And this is giving America incredible power. When America gets angry, it can hurt any country financially. Like right now, America has just put 50% extra taxes on 48.2 billion worth of Indian exports. Why? Because India buys Russian oil and America doesn't like that. And now, across the board sits the other king, the black king, Russia. In chess, the white side usually makes the first move and the black side responds. Similarly, America, which is the white king, drives the global rules and strategies, while Russia, which is a black king, reacts and looks for opportunities to counter. So Russia was once a superpower equal to America. It led the Soviet Union, a group of 15 countries. But when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Russia went from ruling half the world to just trying to survive. After the Ukraine war, Western countries hit Russia with sanctions that block access to global banking, freeze foreign assets, and restrict high-tech imports. The sanctions were to punish Russia for invasion and pressuring it to change course, leaving its economy strained and its military resources stretched. Today, Russia is more like a wounded king, still dangerous because of its nuclear weapons, but nowhere near the superpower it was back then. But Russia still controls something everyone needs: energy. Oil and gas keeps the world running, and Russia has lots, lots of it. About 58 billion barrels as of 2024 to be precise, and continues to pump about 9.85 to 10 million barrels per day in 2025. So, to stay alive in power dynamics, Russia offers cheap oil to countries like India and China, $3 to $8 cheaper per barrel than other countries. These two countries are huge energy consumers, so the deal strengthens Russia's influence and political ties with Asia. In fact, India bought 88 million tons of Russian oil last year. That's more than half of all the oil India uses. So Russia's plan is very simple. Keep selling oil to keep its economy intact while slowly trying to weaken America's control over world's money. Since Russia keeps selling oil in non-dollar currencies, which means countries don't need to hold as many US dollars, this slowly weakens America's financial dominance built on petrodollar system where oil is mostly traded in US dollars. And this is where India comes in, the queen. In chess, the queen is the most powerful piece. She moves in any direction, forward, backward, sideways, diagonally, and that's exactly how India plays. So everyone wants India on their side. America needs India to balance China, Russia needs India to buy its oil, and China wants India closer to weaken America. But India isn't playing anyone else's game, it's playing its own game. As India's External Affairs Minister puts it, we need to engage the world as who we are, not who others think we are. So now India gets cheap energy from Russia, it wants trade and defense deals with America, it works with Europe, and it competes with China. India can do all this at the same time. You see, India's power comes from balance, moving in every direction without picking a side. And the one piece India watches most closely is the knight, China. You see this knight? Always very, very tricky. Knights move in L shape, jumping over other pieces. They are unpredictable and hard to block. That's exactly how China plays. While America yells at India for buying Russian oil, China quietly bought 109 million tons of Russian oil, even more than India. But America barely complains about China. Why? Because China is too dangerous to attack directly. And now China is making a very smart move. Since China produces most of the world's rare earth materials, about 61%, these are the same materials the United States needs badly. But China has stopped selling to them in response to the high tariffs America put on Chinese goods. And now China has invited Indian Prime Minister to a major summit and made an offer. They are willing to supply these rare earth materials to India. By shutting out the United States and offering India a deal, Beijing turns supply into a strategy. It shows the world it can choose who gets access and who doesn't. And for India, this could mean cheaper inputs for its $115 billion electronic industry, a big push for our electric vehicle manufacturing, and less reliance on unstable supply chain. China's message is very clear. America wants to hurt both of us with tariffs. Let's work together against America. Like I said, very, very tricky. Now this bishop, that's Europe. Bishops are good at working around the problems. They can see far across the board and find ways to get things done without causing too much trouble. Europe wants to help America fight Russia. They just adopted the 18th package of sanctions against Russia. But they also need Russian gas to keep their lights on. So Europe still bought 4.4 billion euros worth of Russian gas in just the first half of 2025. So like a smart bishop that finds way around the other pieces, Europe talks tough about Russia in public but quietly keeps buying their energy. They say one thing and do another. Not because they're lying, but because they have to survive. So you see, bishops are very good at staying alive when the game gets messy, and so is Europe. And finally, the pawns, the smaller countries on the board. Now, pawns don't control the game, but when the king and the queen clash, the board opens up for them. That's when a smart pawn moves forward slowly, building power and sometimes even turning into a queen. Countries like Vietnam, Bangladesh, the UAE, Taiwan, and Saudi Arabia are doing exactly that. Because of the US-China rivalry, companies are now shifting manufacturing from China to Vietnam and Bangladesh, turning them into a rising export hub. Meanwhile, the UAE uses global tension to position itself as a finance and trade hub. By staying neutral, they are attracting investors from every side. And Taiwan dominates the semiconductor market, controlling over 64% of global chip production, making itself too valuable to ignore. Saudi Arabia is also investing oil money into tech, sports, and defense, turning energy wealth into global influence. So these countries may not set the rules yet, but smart moves are helping some pawns rise in power. But have you wondered how this game even began in the first place? These rising powers didn't appear out of nowhere. Their moves are connected to decisions made decades ago. Let's understand how that happened and how it will impact our future. So World War II just ended and the world looked completely different. Before the war, Europe ruled everything. Britain had the biggest empire. France controlled Africa and Germany wanted to conquer the entire world. But by 1945, Europe was destroyed. Cities were rubble, economies were broken, millions were dead. In that chaos, two countries stood almost untouched: America and Russia. America's mainland was completely safe from the war, and its economy had actually grown stronger by supplying weapons to everyone else. Russia was different. Yes, they lost millions of people, but the Soviet Union emerged as a massive power controlling 15 countries across Eastern Europe and Central Asia. They had the world's largest military and controlled more land than any empire in history. These two became the world's first superpowers, but they had completely opposite belief about how the world should work. On one hand, America wanted capitalism, free market, private businesses, and individual wealth. And on the other hand, Russia wanted communism, government-controlled economy, shared ownership, and collective society. So this difference of opinion created a problem. Europe was destroyed and needed to be rebuilt, but which system will they follow? So America made a brilliant move. In 1944, they convinced 44 countries to make the US dollar the world's official currency, backed by gold at $35 per ounce. So why did everyone agree? Because America was the only major country that wasn't destroyed and controlled 2/3 of the world's gold. This gave America incredible power over global money. Meanwhile, Russia used its military strength to force Eastern Europe, countries like Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and East Germany into communism, while America helped Western Europe like France, Italy, West Germany, and the Netherlands rebuild through capitalism with an aid program for recovery known as the Marshall Plan. So Europe got divided like a divorced family. Western Europe joined America's team NATO. Eastern Europe was forced into Russia's team Warsaw Pact. Germany was literally split in half with a wall built through Berlin. Western Europe became friends with America, where people could vote, own businesses, and live more freely. Eastern Europe followed Russia, where the government controlled everything and people had less freedom. Since both superpowers had nuclear weapons, they could destroy cities in just seconds. They created mutually assured destruction. If one attacked directly, both would be wiped out. So they did something very clever. They fought proxy wars, where instead of fighting each other directly, they each supported opposing sides in conflicts around the world. In wars like South Korea versus North Korea and South Vietnam versus North Vietnam. And this lasted until 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed because their communist economy couldn't compete with American capitalism anymore. And suddenly, America became the world's only superpower. Game over, right? Wrong, because while America and Russia were busy fighting each other, someone else was quietly learning from both of them. India. India was learning from everyone without becoming anyone's puppet. When India gained independence in 1947, the world expected it to pick a side. America offered capitalism, Russia offered communism. India's answer shocked everyone. We will take the best from both and create our own path. This was the birth of non-aligned movement. While other countries were forced to choose between America and Russia, India said no to both and convinced 120 other countries to do the same. So India's plan moved through the decade. 1950s to 1960s, while America and Russia spent trillions on weapons, India focused on building industries, universities, and infrastructure. India built 2 steel plants in collaboration with Russia, learned technology from America, and kept both at arm's length. And then 1970s, when America threatened India during the Bangladesh war, India signed a friendship treaty with Russia for protection. And when Russia tried to control India's foreign policy, India told them to back off. And then in 1990s, after the Soviet Union collapsed and America became the only superpower, India faced a severe economic crisis, rising prices, huge debt, and almost no foreign reserves left. India turned to the IMF for help and had to accept reforms to open up its economy. But India used those reforms very smartly. The LPG reform dismantled the license Raj, cut tariffs, opened markets, attracted foreign investment, revived growth, and still keeping full control over its foreign policy. The 2000s, India joined both Quad, America's anti-China group, and BRICS, China and Russia's group, at the same time. India became the only country trusted by both the sides while staying independent of both. Then in 2008 financial crisis, when America's economy crashed and Europe panicked, India proved its resilience. During the crisis, India's growth slowed from 8.7% in 2007 to 8 to 6.7% in 2008 to 2009. Foreign investors pulled out more than 13 billion from Indian stock market, and the BSE Sensex lost 37.94%. However, India's response was smart. The government launched 3 fiscal stimulus packages totaling 3.5% of GDP, and the Reserve Bank cut interest rates. By 2009 to 2010, India bounced back to 8.5% growth, proving that India's third way was actually smarter than choosing sides. Throughout it all, India's strategy remained the same. We will work with everyone, but we won't work for anyone. By 2021, India had become the world's 5th largest economy, a nuclear power, and a leader of Global South, all without being anyone's puppet. Even when Pakistan attacked in 2025 and America pressured India to escalate, India chose its own path, securing peace on its own terms without bowing to foreign pressure. But then came the ultimate test. February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. The West told the world, you're either with us or against us. Stop all businesses with Russia immediately. India's response, we don't take orders, we make our own decisions. While Europe quietly kept buying Russian gas and America continued importing Russian uranium, they pressured India to stop buying Russian oil. When America threatened sanctions, India didn't blink. When Europe lectured India about morality, India reminded them that they were also buying Russian energy. India's answer was, we will buy energy from whoever gives us the best deal. And that's what sovereign countries do. And here's what happened next. India saved 2.5 billion by buying discounted Russian oil. Russia became India's largest oil supplier practically overnight. India maintained its growth while other economies struggled with energy costs. And then came August 27, 2025. Trump slammed 50% tariffs on Indian goods, calling it punishment for buying Russian oil. This was the test. Would India finally bow down? India's response to Trump's tariff was swift and defiant. Our concern is our energy security, and we will continue to purchase energy sources from whichever country benefits us, declared Indian Foreign Minister Kirti Vardhan Singh. No backing down, no apologies. America expected India to cave. Instead, India doubled down on independence. India's counter-attack was immediate. The government launched a 40-country export diversification strategy targeting the UK, Japan, Germany, France, Australia, and 35 other markets to replace American buyers. Export promotion councils got marching orders to position India as the world's most reliable supplier. Commerce Ministry officials began emergency meetings with exporters from textiles, chemicals, and jewelry sectors to cushion the blow. Russia opened its market wider to Indian goods facing US restriction. And China's Xi Jinping sent a secret diplomatic letter to Indian President Draupadi Murmu in March 2025, just as Trump was escalating his trade war. The letter expressed concerns about potential US deals that could harm Chinese interests and proposed renewed bilateral engagement between India and China. The timing was perfect. While America was threatening India with tariffs, China was offering a partnership, and the dominoes keep falling for America. Right before our Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Japan visit, Tokyo abruptly cancelled a major trade meeting with Washington, putting a $550 billion deal on hold. So America wanted to keep 90% of the profits from Japanese investments. Japan refused and walked away just as Modi arrived in Tokyo. So instead of rushing into fixing things with America, Japan chose to focus on welcoming Modi and strengthening the ties with India. Trump's tariff war isn't just pushing India away, it's showing the world that you can say no to America and survive. For 75 years, India survived by staying independent. When Britain left, India didn't become America's client. When Russia offered protection, India didn't become Russia's puppet. And when China offered a partnership, India kept China at arm's length. Trump thought 50% tariff would break the streak. Instead, India showed the world that true sovereignty means one thing: the right to say no to anyone. Every developing country is watching. Every nation tired of American economic bullying is taking notes. India just proved that independence isn't just possible, it is profitable as well. The Queen Piece didn't just survive the king's attack. She's teaching the entire board how to play the game. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here, and India is leading it.